Good afternoon. It's a great pleasure to speak before you today. Due to meetings regarding the plenary vote on Horizon 2020, I had to cancel my participation in the conference and be with you in Strasbourg today. Nevertheless, I want to take this opportunity to share my views with you on the state of play of Horizon 2020. I should also like to thank the organizers and especially Professor Rodrigo Martins for having invited me to speak before you at this conference. Today, I should like to give you an overview of some of the pertinent developments to be found in the final version of Horizon 2020 by comparison with the initial Commission proposal. As the rapporteur for the specific program implementing Horizon 2020, I have, of course, been directly involved in the design of this new structure, and I have divided my discussion of the relevant aspects of the process implementing Horizon 2020 in three parts. First, I should like to underline the importance of Horizon 2020. Then, I shall go on the outline of the state of play of Horizon 2020 and some of the main changes that we have introduced in the original Commission proposal. Finally, I should like to finish by the reference to material research within Horizon 2020. So, first point, the importance of Horizon 2020. Research and innovation are the foundation on which economic development and job creation can be built. Advancements in science are equally crucial to the improvement of our quality of life, as this includes such matters of direct concern to the Europeans as health or air and water quality. We cannot achieve these improvements in quality of life in Europe without a properly weighted budget that promotes the distinctive advantage of research at European level. Horizon 2020, the European Research and Innovation Programme that will run from 2014 to 2020 with a budget of 70 billion, is a cornerstone of the European policy in this field. The 70 billion investment will be evenly distributed between three fundamental pillars: excellence in science, industrial leadership, and societal challenge. However, Horizon 2020 is much more than a funding program. It will be a fundamental instrument in structuring research and innovation in Europe over the years to come. In particular, it is designed to be as simple as possible, effectively and adequately funded, including a comprehensive approach to the passage from research to market, and be designed in such a way to overcome fragmentation and to encourage collaboration across Europe and beyond. Now, the state of play of Horizon 2020. With regard to the state of play of Horizon 2020, the framework program and the specific program reports were voted on and unanimously accepted by the ITRE committee 2 weeks ago. This was brought to an end 6 months of arduous negotiations between the Parliament, the Council and the Commission. All now that remains to be done is to submit the report to the plenary that will be next week in Strasbourg. I'm optimistic that once this has been done, we will be able to ensure a smooth transition from the 7th framework program to the new Horizon 2020. Generally speaking, the negotiations have progressed positively, with the Irish presidency displaying increasing willingness to accommodate the positions adopted by the European Parliament. All of the Parliament recommendations have been taken up by the new program. Insofar as the contribution that the Parliament made to the final nature of Horizon 2020, the following three areas are particularly important. Strengthening the industrial base. Parliament made effort to ensure that Europe's industrial base is strengthened and this is reflected in the second pillar, industrial leadership. Indeed, over the last few years, there has been a significant drop in the industrial participation in the framework program for research. This is in the context in which Europe has difficulty converting high-quality research into marketable products and services. The Parliament identified a number of areas that require particular attention. These include greater incentives to industrial participation in European projects, support for industry across the whole of the industrial cycle, and the integration of standardization into technological development projects. The Parliament also sought to ensure easier access for SMEs and defended the dedicated SME instrument with a bottom-up approach alongside the 20% rate of participation for SMEs in Horizon 2020. This was a policy that was agreed with the Council. The Parliament was also particularly keen to ensure the collaborative research was a key objective in Horizon 2020, and this was correctly balanced between large integrated projects and smaller, more focused projects. The second point that the Parliament introduced is the concept of widening of participation. The Parliament was also directly engaged in ensuring that excellence was firmly established at the heart of Horizon 2020. This involves, on one hand, encouraging participation of regions that have shown lower levels of participation in the past, and on the other hand, the widening of bottom-up participation across the three pillars. Insofar as the stress on excellence is concerned, a significant innovation is the creation of widening of participation and the concept of stairway to excellence. This entails teaming initiatives whose objective is to establish and reinforce partnership between regional research units, countries, and linked international counterparts. This will enable Europe to foster units of embryonic excellence, such as small research groups and highly innovative startups. Such stairways to excellence will be able to leverage support from the cohesion funds, and this will contribute significantly to the creation of critical mass from existing seeding grounds. The third point that we have introduced in the Parliament is the synergies with the structural funds. Parliament also sought to ensure a great complementarity between Horizon 2020 and various other European, national and regional financial instruments. In particular, Parliament defended the multi-fund approach and strengthening of the bridges that link Horizon 2020 and another available funds, and most particularly the structural funds. As such, the structural funds have a role to play, both upstream and downstream, with regard to Horizon 2020 objectives. Upstream from Horizon 2020, the structural funds can be used for the capacity building. As an example, equipment, human resources development, creation and source of small grants, contribution to funding ERC, Marie Curie or collaborative projects that were dated excellent but didn't get funded from the European Commission. Downstream from Horizon 2020, the structural funds will help smooth the passage from conception to market. They can be used to finance or co-finance the follow-up to Horizon 2020 research projects and the valorization of research results, an approach that actively sought to establish links with smart specialization, as this involves several cross-references to the structural funds, and this has been agreed with Council and Commission. Simplification. Turning now to a matter that is close to my heart. I might even say that it has been something of a crusade with me. This is a question of simplification. Horizon 2020 includes the greatest part of many recommendations that were made in my previous report on simplification. Indeed, a great deal of criticism has been leveled at the way European Union handles funding of research. In particular, complaints centered on the bureaucracy complexity and the elaborate requirements for financial data that are imposed on applicants. Consequently, I proposed an approach aimed at rebalancing the evaluation procedure. First, I set out to simplify the monitoring of the financial aspects of funded projects. Secondly, I look to reinforce the technical and scientific assessment of the process. This supposes a process of peer review and with it the application of excellence-based criteria for assessment. Of course, all financial transactions involve a degree of risk, but excessive concern about controlling the risk through administrative supervision can actually increase the overall cost of the process. It should be able to tolerate higher risk while at the same time placing more confidence in participants from the scientific and business community. In this respect, the goal was to strike a balance between trust and control, between risk-taking and risk avoidance, in order to ensure the sounder financial management of the EU research funds. So, in my report, include, amongst other recommendations that are now in Horizon 2020, a single set of rules for all the elements of Horizon 2020, an acceptance of different accounting practice that participants have already adopted in their respective countries, the reimbursement of the VAT as an eligible costs, simplification of the time recording system. Finally, concerning simplification, the new rules facilitate the recruitment of staff in universities in order to work on Horizon 2020 projects. Hopefully, this will keep young researchers involved in Horizon 2020. Let me conclude and talk about my last point, that is Horizon 2020 and material science. I should like to briefly discuss today that of material research in the scope of Horizon 2020. And let me begin by saying that due to the diverse applications of material technologies, we can find funding possibilities in different lines in Horizon 2020. This issue is mostly dealt in Pillar 2, which devotes a large part of its objectives to foster research in key enabling technologies, the well-known CATs. These include micro and nanoelectronics, photonics, nanotechnology, biotechnology, advanced materials, advanced manufacturing systems. I would like to give you an example of the activity line Materials for a Sustainable, Resource-Efficient and Low-Emission Industry that I consider to express the spirit of the CATs, developing generic CATs and multi-CATs building blocks for different application areas include societal challenge. Nevertheless, materials research can also added value in Pillar 3 in the societal challenge. One important contribution will be in the energy societal challenge in terms of finding the best solutions, for example, for energy storage, or the reuse of captured CO2, the CO2 industrial utilization, to enable the commercial deployment of CCS technologies for fossil fuel power plants and other carbon-intensive industry. Finally, I should like to encourage you to consider the calls that will be launched with the international partners. International cooperation is a priority in Horizon 2020 and will be promoted in the different pillars of Horizon in the whole program. This brings me now to the end of my speech. Let me say, by way of conclusion, that As we are now nearing the end of the long process leading up to the adoption of Horizon 2020, I am optimistic that we shall be able to ensure a smooth transition from the previous framework program to the new Horizon 2020. This will reduce uncertainty and enable us to begin on the equally significant task of ensuring that we are able, over the course of the next 7 years, to fully implement the different provisions of Horizon 2020. It is an ambitious program that I believe will be able to make a real difference to European research, science and innovation. It only remains for us to ensure that we are able to take advantage of it has to offer. Thank you very much.